Hello, everyone. It's Thursday. It's that time of year again, the school year reflection. I just watched last year's school reflection video, and I remember talking about, and I wanted to address this because I said that, and I remembered this a few days ago. I said that going forward, the chances of me continuing a school year reflection video I was unsure about it because to me it was seeming like it was kind of a redundant process. Just felt like me saying the same thing over and over again every year. And I agree. It does sound kind of redundant to make a video that pretty much says the same thing over and over again once a year. And if I want to create meaningful content, which I've been talking a lot about over the last few videos, is that really meaningful content? Now, meaningful content is different for everybody. What's meaningful to me may not be meaningful to you. These reflection videos about the school year are meaningful to me, obviously, in that they're a way for me to let out or to talk out essentially my thoughts about the school year. I realized this last year, and I don't know if I said this on video yet, but I took a class this past semester online about the brain and how the brain learns, and I learned something about not only applying different brain-based strategies to the classroom, but also I learned a lot about how I myself learned. From this particular class, I learned, and I think I had known this, I just never really acknowledged it as being true, the three different types of learning styles. You have visual, people who say, like, we have a lot of people I know in the world today who are visual learners. They have to see something in order to understand it. You have auditory learners with the hearing. People hear things and they know it. And then you have the kinesthetic or the tactile learners. They have to physically, like my hat over here, they have to pick something up and they can learn how to use it, I guess, with their hands and just by touching it, or being active with their bodies. So one of the things we had to do in this class was to take this quiz that would tell us what our preferred learning style was. And so I took it, and all of my scores were very close to each other, but what really intrigued me was my highest score was in auditory, the hearing category. And one of the things we had to do was, after we took that quiz, we had to kind of reflect on our own teaching practices and see if our preferred learning style was how we presented information in our classrooms. I made this realization and I was like, oh my goodness, I do rely on a lot of auditory teaching styles, teaching things when I teach. And I had never really recognized that. And there were so many things that this class helped me realize and understand. I learned a great deal of information from this particular class. It was branded as a music class, but you could easily apply all of this information to other fields of study. Anyway, I'm getting off track. But what I must say, that class that I took this past semester, the second half of the school year, very good. I'm excited to implement some of the new things that I've learned into the school year next year. Speaking of this past school year, I wanted to do a school year reflection video. I wanted to do one this year, specifically because at the end of last year's video, I mentioned how I had several changes coming to my schedule this year. And at the time, it really wasn't known exactly what I was going to be doing. And as the Holy Spirit so greatly does, everything just came together. This was the premiere year of our instrumental music program. I had at one point over 40 of our students in grades 4 through 8 who signed up for this program. Now, by the end of the school year, I think we got down to like 36 or 37 because some started and then realized it wasn't for them and dropped out. Some got way close to the end of the year before they dropped out. But overall, the response from the families and the students to this program was so encouraging and so, almost want to say unexpected. I really didn't know how many people were going to take up an opportunity like this. Well, so at the beginning of the year, I want to say it was like September or so, I had like a band tryout day where the rental company that was supplying the instruments to the school lent me some instruments for the students to try: saxophone, clarinets, flutes, things like that. And not every student was able to try an instrument, which I made them aware of that for several reasons. One, we don't have the time, and two, there weren't enough instruments. But there were some individuals who, when they played a particular instrument, I remember there were 3 sixth graders. One picked up a saxophone, one picked up a flute, and one picked up a trumpet. Every single one of them played very well on that tryout day. Now, the unfortunate thing is only the trumpet player, I think, continued and joined the band. The other 2 were not interested, or their families didn't want them to do it at this time. But the response, as I said, from not only the students themselves and the interest coming in, not only was that great, but the amount of support from both of the churches that co-sponsored the school. This was at the end of July, but I spoke at both parishes pretty much saying, like, hey, we're starting an instrumental music program. These things, cost an arm and a leg to some people. We need support. We need instruments. We need monetary donations. After one of the masses, I had an individual, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I don't know. I had an individual who gave me, at the end of Mass, I think it was 5 $100 bills. And first of all, who carries that kind of money? And secondly, thank you? How do I express gratitude for something like that? Adequate gratitude, in my opinion. This whole band program, the idea of a concert band in general, is something that I really wanted to be a part of. That is when I was in college, my dream job was to be a high school band director, to do marching band field shows and, nice 50-person wind ensembles and things like that. And that's not happening for me now, and that's okay. But to start a program from scratch, nothing. I had nothing except what I learned from my own experience and what I learned in my undergraduate studies. That's all I had to go off of. To start a band program from scratch and to have this kind of response, I'm at a loss for words. I am really at a loss for words, because people say in the public schools the arts are dying. And I really haven't seen that a lot lately in the last maybe 5 or 6 years. I think I've seen a little bit more interest given to these kinds of programs, but not only to see the support from the families and the parishioners of the churches, but also to have my administration and our superintendent really supporting and wanting this program to succeed. I can't ask for anything more. I'm genuinely excited to see where this program is going to go. There's a lot more I could say on that, but I am extremely excited to see what happens next school year with the instrumental program. We did have, or I should say, I had a couple drawbacks this particular year. We tried to restart the choir, and it stalled. It was a little better at the beginning of the year. We had several people drop out, lack of interest. It came down to what I think was a scheduling issue, and I didn't personally, and this is an admission on my point, I didn't really put a lot of time and thought and intentional effort into the choir, because band program. I don't want to use that as an excuse, but that was what took up a lot of my time, because it was new. I had to make sure that a bunch of ducks were in a row. I don't know. I'm making excuses now. Anyway, I'm looking for ideas and thinking about how to better the choir for next school year, whether that's changing the scheduling, other kinds of music choices. I'm looking for some ideas, and I'm thinking of some ideas for that going forward. And then just to my normal music classes, which as I said, my schedule really opened up this year. I was not as busy during the school day. I actually had time to intentionally plan lessons and to make sure I was covering what I needed to cover and over the gamut of classes that I have. What helped me in that was taking that class I mentioned during the second half of the school year, and also really intentionally looking at my guidelines, what we call the standards, the music standards for the state of Ohio, and applying those while I was writing my lessons. And they weren't perfect. They weren't fully integrated all the time, But I now have a great batch of lessons from a whole school year that I can now go and review and see, okay, what holes can I fill in? What can I adjust? What can I change? What can I add? What can I replace? Because there were things that I had done in previous school years that I didn't do this year. So, wrapping this up, I'm happy the school year's over. It definitely went a lot quicker than expected. I'm still like sitting here now like, wow, the school year's done. That actually went by pretty quick. But overall, it was a really good year. I can't really say anything else other than that. There were a couple like moments where I was a little concerned about some things and other things in terms of like relationships with certain classes, but that kind of just comes and goes. That's just expected. Some classes are a little bit more difficult. The 8th grade this particular year, if any of you are watching, which I doubt, but if any of you are watching, you will admit to this, they weren't a chatty bunch in class. It was very difficult at times to get them to engage. And maybe that's something I need to look into adjusting for next year. So yeah, good school year. I mean, I haven't been able to say that in like two or 3 years. I feel like every school year reflection video has ended in some sort of like, wow, I'm glad that was over. I don't feel that way this year. I really don't. I'm very grateful for this past school year. This now completes year 7. It'll be 7 years that I moved out here. In August. I'm very grateful to still be where I am. So going forward, I've been talking about this whole idea of meaningful content. And again, meaningful content is different for everybody. Meaningful content for me is something that's going to be beneficial to myself or beneficial to a certain group of people. I'm currently working on editing a presentation given by Nick. I think you guys met him in a video last year when he and some other Twitter friends visited me. He did a presentation on Vatican II a few weeks ago, and I asked him if I could edit it and archive it on my channel. So in a couple of weeks, because it is a long video, that'll be archived here within the next couple of weeks. I would say probably by the end of June. It's very good. It's based on a book called Reclaiming Vatican II by Father Blake Britton, who was a contestant on Game of Favorites a few weeks ago. So be on the lookout for that. I'm not looking for really anybody to spend the entirety of, it's probably going to end up being about a 2-hour video. It's like just shy of 3 hours now, but I'm going to try to edit it down to about 2 hours, and that might not even happen. But let's talk some travel. I'm going to Iowa for 2.5 weeks on the 15th. And then Seth, I think I've told you about Seth. Seth is going to come out here in July, and I'm going to take him out to Montana for about a week and a half. And then there will be 2 Game of Favorites conventions in July and August. I'm attempting to go to both. The July one is the main one. I'm going to be there for the second half of it. The August one is like the secondary one. I'll be there for the first half of it. There's other announcements that I could say. There's other things that I could say. I'm not ready to do that yet. There's life changes that are coming. And some of you watching know. And I'm being vague because it kind of bleeds into my personal life a bit. And I try to keep that off of this channel. But there are some very good potential future changes coming. And when you need to know, you will know. Other than that, I would like to do some travel vlogging this summer. I don't know how much of it. I will be visiting friends in Iowa. This is mostly a train trip, but I'll be visiting at least 2 friends in Iowa. So that will, maybe I'll make a video with one of them. I am planning on some guest hosting What's for Dinner episodes when I'm in Iowa, and possibly when I'm at GothCon. I haven't decided if I'm going to do that yet. With that, that's about all I have. I don't know how much of me you're going to see this summer. As I said, I want to do some travel vlogging. Maybe some short sit-down videos like I used to do on the set. Thank you all for watching. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the notification bell. Let me go to this side here. Let's put the most recent What's for Dinner episode here. And let's put, I don't know, I'll put a random video down here. And you can subscribe down over here. Thank you all for watching. I'm very happy to have this little community of mine here. So, yeah, take care. God bless. Happy summer. If you're traveling, stay safe. Enjoy your travels. And God bless. That was weird.